Hey everyone, and welcome back to Xcanyonn. Today I'm showing you how to remove the white paper background from your scanned artwork. Fast, clean, and without losing those lovely details. If you're not sure how to scan your artwork properly into your Mac or PC, then no problem. I've linked a video that walks you through the best settings and DPI to get clean, high quality scans. But today I'm working on my giraffe with acacia print, and as you can see, it's got loads of multiple floating pieces. So let's jump into the computer and I'll show you how to remove that background step by step using Affinity Photo. Whenever I start working on an art print, I always start by opening my template file. And this basically keeps that every single art print that I have has a cohesive look. It's the same shape, it's the same size initially, and then I can go on to change it. Now, my template file always has two layers. It has the faux watercolor paper texture and also my signature. So I always work off these two layers, and then I can always change it as it goes. The next thing is to bring in our art piece. So by doing that, you go to File, Place, select the file that you have scanned in, and then here you can see a little circle with an arrow through it. If you click and drag, you drag the size of the image into your file. Done. So now the next step is to, let me just drag up the layer to the top, is to just toggle off the visibility on the signature layer and the paper texture layer. So then all we can see is this original raw file. Now, the next step for me is, because we want to cut out the white paper background, I want to try and get those whites really, really white. Now, there's two reasons why you'd want to do this. One, like I just said, you want to select the white, so making it whiter will help you select that selection. And the other is because when you scan things into your computer, they do tend to lose a little bit of their brightness. So let's get this white balance on the go. Having your layer selected, we head then down to the bottom on the right hand side, and there's like a little half moon icon that has adjustments. Head on over to white balance, and you can see here that an adjustment layer has been added on top of the image. The white balance, there are two main toggles. I only focus on the one that has white balance. And if you move it in either direction, you can see that it changes the warmth of the image. It will either get colder by going more blue, or it will get warmer by going more yellow. Now, if we keep it towards the bluer side, maybe a -4, it just brings out a tiny little bit more those beautiful whites. So with that, let's just go ahead and exit out. And what I want to do is basically merge this layer and this layer together. So to do that, you hold Shift and select both layers. We then right click and we go down to Merge Selected. Done. So what this basically has done is just made those layers a little bit whiter and easier for you to work from. Next step is organizing our layers. So the first things first, let's name this one raw, because this was the original raw file that we brought in. Yeah, we made it a little bit whiter, but outside of that, nothing else really changed. So I tend to duplicate this layer and work off the duplication, just because I like to keep the raw file as a complete backup to the whole thing in case some chaos happens. And I've just realized we need to make sure that we save this as the actual new name, not override template. So let's head up to File, Save As, and we'll go Giraffe, Acacia. Did I say that? Acacia? 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 Acacia. And let's go and throw it into our Giraffe with Acacia Edits folder. Okay, so now we've saved it and all is well in the world. We go back to our layers and let's go back onto setting up the layers. So let's duplicate this. You can get there by either right clicking and selecting duplicate, or it is Command J on your keyboard. Let's rename this to original, because now this is going to be the main one we work off for all of the adjustments, the removing of the background and everything else in between. So let's go ahead and turn off the toggle visibility on the raw layer so we can only actually see the original layer, which we can see by doing toggle on, toggle off, toggle on. Next up is the use of the flood tool, which is how we're going to remove this white paper background. If you look to the left-hand side toolbar, you'll see that there's a flood tool, which looks like a little wand with a star on top. Now, here's the trick to removing the white paper background, is you're not actually selecting the greens, the pinks and the browns. You're actually going to select the whole white. And let's just work through this together. Firstly, actually, let's look at the tools at the top. So the source is the current layer that we're working on, which is exactly what we want. The tolerance is at 10%, and that basically allows you to select colors that maybe have a little bit of white in them, and it will capture that as well. We'll touch base on it in a little bit. Contiguous is turned off. Now, if I was to turn contiguous on, let me show you, it will only select the pixels that are the same color range and that are touching each other. So let's focus on this pink one. If I was to select pink now, it will only select this deep pink that is connected to each other. So I would have to, if I was to select this lighter pink, it will only select the lighter pink and none of the other pinks and purples here, pinks or light pinks. However, if contiguous was turned off and I reselect this pink, it will select all the pinks that are in the same color range on the same paper, that they don't have to be touching. Okay, so that's an important one for later. So let's go back to the actual task at hand. So imagine we were going to do this. We were going to select all the pinks and then we want to select all the greens. And if you want to multi-select, we press Shift and then it will highlight the greens. Now, because you may have different hues and tones of green, especially if you're working with a mixed palette, this just becomes a little bit of a challenge. So there is an easier way to do this, and this is by selecting the white first. So let's select the white. The tolerance is at 10%, and I think I might need to decrease the tolerance, because as you can see here, it's cutting out quite a lot of these extra feathery bits. So let's just bring down the tolerance a little bit more, maybe to just 7%. And I will click this again. And let's see if it captured any more bits. I think it did. I think it captured some up here, look. Okay, so now let's go on and throw the mask over. So head over to the right-hand side, go to Mask Layer, and you might panic. And this is a good way to understand how masking works. So what this has done is basically selected the white. It thinks that you want to keep the white and you don't want to keep the color. But in actual fact, we want it the other way around. We want it to be inverted. So let's just go back one step and let's invert it. So if we go up to Select and we click Invert Pixel Selection, this has now done the reverse. So if we were to throw the mask on it now, it will literally have selected the pinks, the greens and the browns from the giraffe, which is exactly what we want. But before we do that, I want to do two extra things to really ramp up the quality of this scanned in digitized artwork. If we head on over to Select and go to Grow and Shrink, what I'm doing here is, if you see these little marching ants, they're very close to exactly where my brush strokes were. And if we increase the pixels just by a little, it expands that selection. Now, sometimes you only really need it to be maybe 1 or 2 pixels, just so it gives it a less immediately straight line edge. Gives you a little bit of a buffer on the whole thing. So now the next bit I would also do is feather. And same thing, I just kind of throw on 2 pixels, and this creates a softer edge, a blurrier edge. It doesn't look like you've just gone and got some scissors and cut out, the image itself. So let's apply that, and let's zoom out, so Command 0. So now let's throw the mask on it. So again, the little box with the black dot, and you can see that we have officially cut out all the white. And now you can see the mask here is where everything in black is what's been cut out and everything in white is what you can see. There's obviously a lot more, and the giraffe probably needs a few more painting in bits, but this is one of the most important first steps to take your artwork from sketch to screen using Affinity Photo. If you want to learn how to clean up the mistakes, enhance colours, or prep your art print for digital use, then I have made a full video with a step-by-step guidance, and I'll link that above and below. But thank you so much for being here. If you've got any questions or you just want to say hey, drop a comment. I read and reply to every single one. And as always, go beyond and create within, and I will see you in the next one.